Okay, I think it's time, so we could start the last session before the barbecue. So this is Lattice-Based PKC 2, and there's going to be two talks. And the first talk is about almost tight multi-user security under adaptive corruptions from LWO in the standard model. And the authors are Shuai, Shengyi, Zhendong, and Dawu. And the speaker is Shenli. Go ahead.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm Shengyi Liu. This is joint work with Shuai Han, Zhendong Wang, and Dawu. And my talk is about almost tight multi-user security and adaptive corruptions from LWE in the standard model. So I will, the presentation will consist of three parts. First, I will introduce what is almost tight multi-user security and adaptive corruptions and introduce our contribution. The second part is I will introduce the important technical tools, which is probabilistic category system. And finally, I will overview our construction of a public key encryption and the signature schemes. So let's go to the first part. So generally, we say a scheme is secure, and we prove the security of the scheme by security reduction. That is, if there exists an adversary who successfully breaks the security of scheme, then we can construct a reduction algorithm which will solve a hard problem. Generally, there will be a gap between the expected running time of the reduction algorithms and the adversary. And the ratio between the two expected running time is the security loss factor. If the security loss factor is 1, is a constant or a small polynomial, then we call this security reduction is a type 1 or almost type 1. So in our talk, we will focus on almost tight security for public key encryption and signature schemes. So nowadays, the public key encryption and signature schemes are deployed in a multi-user setting. So multi-user setting admits adversary a lot of opportunities to implement attacks. For example, the adversary may trap some users by control it. Of course, it can get the secret key of the users. So how about the security of the untrapped user, given the adversary adaptively traps the keys of the trapped users in the multi-user setting? This is exactly what we considered. It is MUC security, multi-security, and adaptive corruptions. So if we consider multi-user security and adaptive corruption, namely MUC, that is easy because we can prove that it's a common knowledge that if we can prove the security in a single user setting, so it implies multi-user security. And we can just use a hybrid argument. However, this security doctrine is not tight because the security loss factor is related to the number of users or the number of the challenge ciphertext for PKE or the number of signatures queries for signature schemes. So what is difficult is to achieve tight multi-user security. Or in fact, there are already some impossibility results. For example, for public key encryption, if the public key and the secret key satisfies the relation satisfies uniqueness or re-randomizable, then it is impossible to get tight multi-user security. Similarly, for digital signature, if the signing algorithm is deterministic, so it's also important to get multi-user security for signature. But we do have some positive results. Here I list some schemes, PKE schemes and SIG schemes, which achieve tight multi-user security and adaptive corruptions. But you can see either some the schemes are based on random oracle model, or it relies on number theoretical assumption. So the problem is, can we achieve multi-user security with post-quantum security? For example, can we construct them with LWE? Now let's review an important work in this Eurocrypt HLG 2023. In this work, they propose a framework of constructing public key encryption with two building blocks. One is a quasi-adaptive hash processing, and the other is a quasi-adaptive NISQ. And then they initiate the two building blocks with almost tight SQL instantiations with matrix DDH assumption. In that way, they get almost tightly multi-user, multi-challenge CCACQ PKE and adaptive corruptions. Well, this is a very good framework if we want to achieve with the post-quantum security, of course, in multi-user setting with almost tight multi-user security, then so if we follow their framework, all we have to do is to have instantiations from LWE. If we can do that, then we are done. But the problem is unfortunately, it's very hard for us to find a quasi-adaptive hash processing constructed from LWE. And I will show later what is the obstacles. Similarly, in HLG 24, they also propose construction of signature. The two building blocks are publicly verifiable quasi-adaptive hash processing and quasi-adaptive NISQ. Then they will get signature. And they also have instantiations from matrix DDH and get almost as strong multi-user CMA security and adaptive options. Now, unfortunately, we cannot find such instantiation from LWE. So this is a challenge. If we want to achieve such tight security from LWE, we have to resort to other approaches. Okay, this is our contribution. Our contribution is we propose the first LW-based PKE with almost tight multi-user, multi-challenge CCA security and adaptive corruption is a standard model, and also the first LWE-based signature scheme with almost tight multi-user CMA security and adaptive corruption in the standard model. So how to do that? We rely on important technical tool, a new tool, which is named probabilistic hash processing. Now let's recall the famous hash processing proposed by Tom in 2002. A hash processing, so firstly, the hashing key, SK, will define a hash function over a domain X. And we can use a private evaluation algorithm to compute the hash value. So the input is a secret key and the instance from the large domain. On the other hand, there's also a projection function which will map the secret key into a projection key. If the instance come from a subset, let's say it's language L, then we can have a public evaluation algorithm which take input, the projection key, the instance together with the witness that is belong to the language. So we can also compute the hash value. And with this hash processing HPS, it requires an exact practice. That means for the instance from the language L, so the public evaluation and the secret evaluation will result in exactly the same hash value. Meanwhile, the domain X and the language L, there is a subset membership problem. That means if you randomly choose a random element from the language L, which is indistinguishable to the random element chosen from the large domain. In 2019, Han Liu, they proposed to extend hash processing to quasi-adaptive hash processing. So what that means? Previously, the original hash processing only consider one language L. Now, quasi-adaptive, we consider a sequence of language, L1, L2, Ln. Correspondingly, we also have a sequence of projections. For each language, we have a projection key. L1, we have a PP1, and N, we have a PPN. And for each language, Li, we have a projection key, we have a public evaluation, we also have private evaluation. For each language, there's two evaluations result in the same hash value. They also require another property named the key switching. That means if we choose random secret key, we project it into L0 and L1, two languages. We get two projection keys. So it is statistically close to another distribution, which is we use two different independent two secret keys projected to L0 and L1 independently. That means if we use one key, then we can switch to two keys for projection to two languages. Okay. Now we know if we can construct LWE-based quasi-adaptive hash-specific, it is possible for us to get almost tight PKE multi-user security and adaptive functions. But now we have some difficulties. Let's see. Let's try. Let's consider how to construct hash-specific from LWE. So first, let's see what is the domain X. The domain X is that the domain X is that the ZQ to the M. So it's a vector space of dimension M. So how about the language? We have a sequence of language. So each language consists of LWE samples. Each language is indexed by the matrix A. So LA is AS plus E. This is a LWE sample. LA1, so it's the samples are A1S plus E. So it consists all the LWE samples. Of course, we have a subset membership problem because LWE implies SMT. So the secret key is just a random base, a base of length L. And the projection key is the key is the vector projected on the matrix A. So this is how to compute the projection key. So how to evaluate the private evaluation, private evaluation to compute the hash value, we just compute the inner product of the instance C and the key. And if we elaborate this, because C is a LW sample, so we get this equation. So how about the public evaluation? Public evaluation is just the inner product of the witness S and the public, the projection key, which is S times AK. You can see that the private evaluation and the public evaluation, they are not the same because we have an extra small errors. So that's why we cannot construct hash-specific because we cannot perfect. We cannot have exact practice. We all have approximate practice. But that one prevents us to use this to construct the PKE with tight security because in the security proof, we have to switch the public evaluation to private evaluation. So without any notice of the adversaries, it must be indistinguishable. And now we cannot do that because the adversary can aware whether this is the public evaluation or the private evaluation. Because we consider adaptive function that the adversary may get the secret key. So that's difficult. So now our solution to the obstacle is how to solve the problem. Our solution is to make the hash positive probabilistic. What that means? That means the hash value, we can compute hash value. This is a deterministic function hash value. But for the private and public evaluation, we make them probabilistic one. So the output is a distribution, it's not a deterministic value. And we make sure that the two evaluations result a value which is close to the true value. It's close enough. Maybe there's some error. It doesn't matter. Close enough. And we also require that the two evaluations has statistical indistinguishability. So they are not equal to each other, but they are indistinguishable to each other. Finally, we also require K-sweeting. That means the projections of for the same secret K is statistically indistinguishable to the two independent secret Ks projected to two languages. Okay, now this our overview of a new technical tool, probabilistic quasi-adaptive hash processing. So we have a domain, we have a sequence of languages, we have a subset membership. So X and any language, we have a subset membership problem, and we have for each language we have a projection key. We have the public evaluation and the private evaluation, and public evaluation are both probabilistic. And we have indistinguishable evaluations. We have key switching properties. Now, next is how to construct such a probabilistic hash processing from LW. Now we can do that. For the language LA is still the LW samples. We have a sequence of languages, and we have SMT because we know that LW implies SMT. For the secret K is a vector of dimension M, and the projection K is A times K, so K projected on matrix Ka. Well, for the private evaluation, we will use the inner product of the instance with the K, and we know that's a small error. But now we will use a bigger error to swallow this small error. Similarly, for public evaluation, we also class an extra large error. So this error from will swallow the small error. So in that case, they are not the same, but they are statistically close. Even the adversary knows K. Now let's see whether it has a key switching property. For the same K, the secret K projected in A1, A2, so A1K, A2K. Because K is very long, it has enough entropy. Given A1K, there's only limited entropy leaked, limited information leaked to the adversary, and this one, A2, will perform as an extractor. The extractor will distill the remaining entropy from K, and resulting in an independent uniform string. Similarly, if we use two different keys, just the red K prime, and it has enough entropy, A2 is an extractor, and will also result in a uniform string. So from the left and the right, they are statistically indistinguishable. So it too has some key switching property. Now we already have technical tool from LW, the technical tool probabilistic hash processing, adaptive HPS from LW. So now we are ready to use the tool to construct our PKE and signature. This construction of our PKE scheme. Here, the secret K is just the secret key of the hash processing, and the public key is a projection of the secret key to a language L. For encryption, we will randomly choose a language, randomly choose an instance from the language together with the witness. So this the subtest consists of a randomly chosen instance from the language, and then we use a public evaluation to compute the hash value, and use hash value to hide the message because we know that the probabilistic will introduce some errors, so we have to encode the message. And then we will use a quasi-adaptive NISC to prove that the instance X belongs to the language L. So this is the subtext XD part. For the decryption, we will first verify whether this X belongs to the language. If the verification check pass, then we will use the private key to do the private evaluation, and we get the hash value, and then we recover the encoded message. Then we decode it, recover the original message. This is exactly the construction of PKE from probabilistic quasi-adaptive hash system and quasi-NISC. And we know that we already know how to construct probabilistic quasi-adaptive HPS from LW. Similarly, we can also have initiation from LW for quasi-adaptive NISC. In that case, we can achieve almost at MUC security for PKE based on LW standard model. And the proof is very similar to the Eurocrypt work, so we omit it here. So how about the signature? Originally in HLG 23, the framework, they use public variable quasi-adaptive hash precision. And as we see, the initiation of their framework is a matrix MDH over pairing group. They use pairing group, this algebra structure, to support public verifier. But now we cannot do that. We don't know how to construct the public variable quasi-adaptive to use the lattice structure. So now how to do that? How to do that? In the LG framework, they will use the signature consists hash value, and they use the public verification of HPS to prove that it is correctly computed. So how to do? But now we cannot do that because we cannot construct the HPS from LWE. Now our solution is we transfer this functionality, this proof, to quasi-NISC, because we cannot rely on hash system to do the verification. How to do that? We transfer it into NISC. This is our solution. So our solution is we augment the verification of hash value to quasi-NISC. In that case, we can build catalyst SQL signature in multi-user set and adaptive function. This is the construction signature. For the signing key, in addition, we will use dual mode commitment. So for the secret key, we will use a commitment to commit the secret key, the hard positive, the secret key of hard positive, and to get VK. VK is a commitment, and secret key is the SK and the randomness R. Let's see how to do sign message L. First, we randomly chose a message L X transit instance from the language L together with witness. Then when we compute hash value, it will be use the secret key, use the private evaluation, and then we use quasi-NISC to prove three equations. First, this instance from the language L. Second, the hash value is very close to the true hash value. Thirdly, VK is that commitment of SK. Now the signature is X hash value.
Sorry, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, and the verification is that verification of the NISC. Okay, now let's see how to do the security proof. The adversary have the signing oracle, and it try to get the forgery, a successful forgery. For the signing oracle, first we can change the hash value computation from private evaluation to the public evaluation because they are statistically indefensible. So that's okay. And then we can change the prover with the simulation we can use the zero knowledge of the NISQ. Next, we switch the language from LA to L0. We use SMT. And then we augment additional winning condition. We use unbounded simulation soundness for this one. Just 1 minute. And then we switch key, so we use a new key. Now the adversary has no knowledge about it.
We don't have any time left. Okay. Can you go to the conclusion, please?
Thank you. Okay, so let's conclude. Well, in this work, we propose the first signature and public encryption. They both of them achieve almost at multi-user security from LW in the standard model. And we get general construction for SIG and the PKE and the technical tool in public probabilistic quasi-adaptive hardware safety. We also get improved almost static reduction from LW to a multi-secret LW. Thank you.
So that was a great talk. Thank you. We don't have enough time, so we have to go to the next speaker. Yambo, can you share your screen?
Okay.
So the next talk is dual MS, efficient lattice-based two-random multi-signatures with trapdoor-free simulation. And the speaker is Yambo. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Shuichi, for introduction. I'm Yanbo Chen from the University of Ottawa. And I'm happy to present my work, Dual MS, efficient lattice-based two-round multi-signature with trapdoor-free simulation. Okay. Recall that in a signature scheme, there is a key generation algorithm, output a secret key and a public key. A signing algorithm uses the secret key to sign a message, and a verification algorithm uses the public key to verify a signature. In a multi-signature scheme, the signing algorithm becomes an interactive protocol. So there are many signers. Each of them has her own secret key. They jointly sign a common message, producing a single signature, which is called a multi-signature. The verifier uses all those public keys to verify this multi-signature. In recent years, multi-signature schemes have found some interesting application in cryptocurrency. For example, in some systems, there are so-called multi-signature transactions. It means that some money can only be spent in a transaction authenticated by multiple signatures under different public keys. So using a multi-signature scheme, the transaction doesn't have to include many signatures, but just one multi-signature. A useful property of multi-signature schemes is called key aggregation. It means that those public keys can be non-interactively aggregated into a single aggregated public key. So the verifier only needs to use the aggregated key to verify the multi-signature. In the scenario of cryptocurrency, now the money doesn't have to be bound with many public keys, but just a single public key. So this is again a saving of space. And sometimes it's useful to hide the fact that some money is shared by different public keys. For example, if they are different users. Okay, now let me review the most relevant prior works in lattice-based multi-signature. The scheme called DOTT was proposed at PKC 21. It was the first scheme with only 2 rounds. So before that, all proposals have a signing protocol with at least 3 rounds. One problem of DOTT is both the 2 rounds are online, which means that they can only be started after knowing the message to sign and the set of signers. So in last year's crypto, Music L was proposed as the first game with 1 offline round plus only one online round. Here, offline means that it can be preprocessed before knowing the message and set of signers. And of course, this is not for free. So the cost is that the first round has higher communication now. So DOTT and Music L are the only two round lattice-based multi-signature schemes before this work. They have something in common. They are both based on the same individual signature scheme, dilithium G. It's a simpler variant of the standardized post-quantum signature dilithium. Now, if we consider a naive construction, so-called aggregated dilithium G, which is just adding up many signatures, we will find that both DOTT and Music L are more expensive than this naive construction because the construction is insecure. So we have to do something more complicated to get a secure construction. Now I want to consider the naive insecure construction as a baseline. And I want to show you what's the actual cost of DOTT and Music L. So DOTT is more expensive in the sense that its signature is significantly larger. Its signature contains an additional part that is much more bigger than the original signature. Music L is more expensive in the sense that the whole system blows up. So we have to choose bigger parameters for Music L. So both public keys and signatures becomes bigger. In this work, we propose a new scheme called DOMS, and our main improvement is the efficiency, especially in the size of public keys and signatures. So compared to the baseline, we still need to contain an additional part in the signature. But basically, we just double the signature, which is much better than DOTT. So let's take a closer look. When compared with DOTT, both schemes have 2 online rounds. So DOMS just simply outperformed DOTT with smaller signatures. When compared with Music L, there is a trade-off about the first round. The first round of Music L is offline, but has higher communication. When it comes to the size of public keys and signatures, it becomes a little difficult to compare. Music L has bigger public keys, no problem, but the comparison between double signatures of DOMS and a bigger signature of Music L depends on concrete parameters. So in this work, we choose some sample parameters, and under this setting, we found DOMS has 3 to 5 times smaller public keys and signatures. So while we can basically say DOMS outperformed DOTT, it's incomparable with Music L because in some applications, the offline round is so desirable and you want to choose Music L. But anyway, this is not an easy choice. because the size of public keys and signatures are usually important. All right, so now let's look at the construction of DOMS. First of all, I want to show you the dilithium G, the underlying one-person signature scheme. It works over polynomial rings R and R sub Q, where coefficients are mod Q. The signer takes a very short vector over R, S, as her secret key. Her public key consists of a matrix A, which is uniformly distributed over R sub Q, and T equals A bar times S, where A bar is the concatenation of A and the identity matrix. The first step to sign a message is to sample a discrete Gaussian vector Y over R and compute a commitment W equals A bar Y. Then she hashes the commitment and the message to compute a challenge C, which is a very short polynomial from R. Finally, she computes a response Z equals Y plus ZS. Here, there is a step of rejection sampling, but we can just ignore it in this presentation to simplify the presentation. The signature consists of C and Z. Given C and Z, the verifier can recover the commitment W and check if C is the correct hash value. Now I want to show you the naive construction of multi-signature from dilithium G. This construction is insecure, but it's useful as a basic framework. And in the next slide, I will show you how to turn it into a secure construction. So the basic idea here is observe that the equation that recovers the commitment is linear. If multiple signers share the same matrix A, and they compute the same challenge C, then they can aggregate their commitment W, their responses Z, and their public keys T. The verification still works. So I will show you the construction in the special case of two signers. Now the matrix A becomes a public parameter. Again, the signer uses a short vector S as her secret key and T equals A bar S as her public key. Now we have an aggregated public key, T tilde, which is a weighted sum of those individual public keys. In the first round, the signers exchange their commitments. After that, they can aggregate the commitment to get W tilde and compute a common challenge C from a hash function. In the second round, they respond to the same challenge and exchange their responses. Finally, the responses are aggregated into Z tilde. The multi-signature consists of C and Z tilde. And as I said in the basic idea, given C and Z tilde, the verifier can verify this multi-signature just like an individual signature. Okay, now we are ready to see DOMS. The public parameters and the keys are unchanged. So here, the important modification is that at the very beginning of the signing protocol, the signers compute a common matrix B from a hash function. Then in the first round, they exchange the commitment. Now the commitment is a bit different. Addition to Y, the signers also samples another Gaussian vector R and computes her commitment as A bar Y plus B bar R. After that, they can still compute a common challenge C. And in the second round, both Z's and R's are exchanged. And Z and R are separately aggregated. The final multi-signature consists of Z tilde, and R tilde. The verifier can use a slightly different equation to recover W tilde. The equation includes B and R tilde now. So why this simple modification makes the scheme secure? Roughly speaking, the security reduction doesn't know the secret key S, but it needs to simulate an honest signer. This matrix B allows it to generate a dual secret key U together with B, satisfying B bar U equals T1. Now observe that this signing protocol has a dual structure between A and B. So the dual secret key B bar U equals T1 should be as powerful as the real secret key A bar S equals T1. So now the security reduction can use the dual secret key to simulate an honest signer using exactly this procedure, just swapping the rows of A and B, Y and R, and so on. Okay, finally, I want to make a small comparison. As I said, the naive construction is insecure and we have to do something more complicated. I want to show you why the idea of a dual secret key leads to smaller public keys and signatures. So in comparison, DOTT has very similar structure, but they use a lattice trapdoor to allow the security reduction to sign, which is a much more powerful and expensive tool. We can compare their power of like outputting pre-images. So a secret key U just allows us to first output a commitment W and then respond to a challenge C by outputting a pre-image of W plus CT, where C has many different possible values. But this power is still so limited. However, a lattice trapdoor allows us to sample many Gaussian pre-images of any vector V. So it's quite natural that it is more expensive in the sense that the Gaussian pre-images is much bigger. And this is exactly the actual part included in the signature. On the other hand, MuSigL used very different and smart idea to let the first round become offline. Roughly speaking, in their scheme, each signer samples many Gaussian vector Ys, and they will be aggregated later. So the Gaussian width of the final response Z increases. And this makes forging a signature easier. So the consequence is that every parameter should also increase to keep the security level. So this is why I said the whole system blows up in MuSigL. Okay, this is the end of my talk. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for the great talk. We have a lot of time for some questions. If you have any questions, please come up and ask them. Okay, maybe I could ask one question. So yeah, I really like this work. I thought it was a very nice, great work. And I guess for the MuSigL and all these other schemes, I don't think they really optimized all the parameters. And what do you think if they, use, let's say, like a much more entry-based trapdoor, would it become more competitive, or would dual MS still be much more efficient? Because when you think about it, like I guess Dilithium and Falcon, when you look at it just as a signature scheme, then Falcon is really efficient. And if they're using those kind of trapdoors, could it lower their signature size down?
Okay, thanks for the question. I think it may be possible when you use untrue trapdoor, it can get smaller signature or something. But well, so far we don't know how to. Maybe it's some difficulty in, compatible. Because in a multi-signature there are some property about where the lattice trapdoor is used, especially about the homomorphism. So maybe it will be a little bit difficult to compat dilithium signature and true trapdoor. I'm not very sure about this. Thanks for your question.
If there's no other question, maybe I could ask like one more. So I think you had some parameter selections in your paper. Like, can you kind of share how efficient it is right now?
I show that in papers. So,
so can you like give us some like rough, is it like in the 100 kilobytes or is it below that, and for how many users do you kind of consider right now?
Oh, okay. So I consider 32 users, and another case is more than 1,000 users. And so the DOMS has about like lower than 10 KB public keys and maybe about 30 KB signature. And basically, MusicL has 3 times bigger public keys and 3 to 5 times bigger signatures.
Okay.
And the security level is like 128 bits.
Okay, 30 kilobytes sounds really short. So we have one question from Khan in the audience, so please go.
Hi, thanks for the talk. So you mentioned the lithium G. So do you actually implement this with the actual lithium G? So including the low order bits compression techniques?
Okay, thanks for your question. So actually, so dilithium G is the Gaussian version of dilithium, right? And in this series of paper about multi-signature, we actually consider an simplified version of dilithium G, which we don't consider those tricks that like cutting the low order beat or something.
Okay, and
so it's but I think it's still possible to use these tricks.
And also in the security group, are there any problems with rejection sampling?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question clearly.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
So my question was if did you meet any difficulties in the security proofs with rejection sampling?
Yeah, I think it's the main difficulty is when we prove the simulation, really simulate the honest signer, we need to consider the case that the commitments are output, but the response is not output in the rejection sampling, right? So this is the case that single user signature will never happen. Single user signature, either we output nothing or either we output the whole signature. In the multi-signature case, we may output the commitment, but not output the response.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for your question.
I think that wraps it up. So thank you again for the great talk and also for everybody participating in the final session. Thank you.
Thank you.